Lost Art of Fishing Stories, written by Andrew Cox. Get your copy today. Go to Amazon and search The Lost Art of Fishing Stories. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're going to have one heck of a story. But before we get into it, are you enjoying these podcasts? Make sure you go hit up the website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out. We are a new nonprofit, so if there's any way you can help us out, it'd be much appreciated. Big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. They're out there doing amazing things. Like I always say, if you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, go back and check them out again. You can always find them at tillvalhallaproject.com. Also, the Marine Corps League now has VSOs, so you can actually contact them. Go to mcleague.org and then look for the VSO locator. You can also dial 703-207-9588, extension 299. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, here we are, man. I'm excited. We got Tim Parkhurst here, man. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you, man?
Oh, man, this is great. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited to hear your story. I think it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, man. No, it was great running into you at Modern Day Marine today, or a few weeks ago, and
absolutely,
yeah, I've been looking forward to this. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I was very lucky to run into you, in my opinion, as I was going up and down the thing. So I'm glad I did, and we get to chat about kind of stuff that you're going to have going on in a podcast another time. So that's going to be a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's start at the beginning then. Let's go back to where you grew up. Tell me a little bit about that, and then eventually what drew you to military service.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, first, I just want to say your intro was awesome, and I love the whole Marine Corps League. What is it? Are you a Marine Corps League ambassador or what?
I am. There's only one, and it's me right now. So I'm the Marine Corps League ambassador.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I
always push that as much as I can.
I'm really active in our local Marine Corps League detachment. We're the Blue Ridge Detachment 848 out here in Andersonville, North Carolina. And just the other day, I became the judge advocate for our detachment.
Oh, no kidding.
So
you just had elections and everything. That's really cool.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. It's a good group of people. So
very nice. Very nice.
But wow, going back to the beginning. Well, I was born a small child. In 1967. So my birthday's in June. I'm a June baby, got one coming up, and I was born in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay.
And the reason we lived in St. Pete was because my dad was a naval officer. He was a flight instructor. I think he was at the time he was a primary flight instructor for helicopters down in Pensacola. And my brother had been born at Pensacola. And then, based on her experience with Navy medicine, my mom had decided that she didn't want me to be born at the Pensacola Naval Hospital. So she went down to St. Pete, where her mom lived, and I was born in a hospital there. And anyway, we didn't spend very long, and this is kind of a recurring theme, for my young life. We moved around a lot.
Right.
I think we left Florida when I was 6 weeks old. My dad transitioned from active duty to the reserves, and started a career as an airline pilot for Transport Airlines.
Oh, wow.
And so that was all happening, when I was born, and moved out to California for about 6 months. And then we moved to Kansas City for about 2 years. And then we moved to Rhode Island for a couple of years. And then to Connecticut for like 5 years. And
man, so, you're no kidding. You've been all over the place.
Oh yeah. So like 13 schools in 13 years. Yeah, I mean, Connecticut was really the first time I really remembered much of anything, because I think we went there like when I was in kindergarten, and so through 5th grade, and so that was sort of my first memories of childhood and all that. And then kind of around the end of that, my mom's dad, my grandfather, passed away down in South Carolina, and left his farmhouse, and took a few months for my mom and dad to figure it out, but they decided they wanted to buy that property and live there. But in the meantime, we moved to New Hampshire for like 6 months, which I still don't know why we did that, but that second half of 5th grade was in the snow. And then,
nice.
And then I went to South Carolina for almost 5 years and finished 9th grade there. And then I went to 10th grade and back in Kansas again. And then ended up in military school. Went to the one and only Marine Military Academy down in Harlingen, Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So here's a funny story. Most kids, if they're not doing well, or if they're misbehaving or whatever, mom and dad get together and they're like, "Hey, we need to sit down and have a conversation with Johnny." Well, in my case, I sat down and had a conversation with my dad, and I'm like, "Dad, I don't like it. I don't like this school I'm going to. I feel like I could do better, but my teachers are paying less attention than I am, and I know it's my fault, but I need a little more supervision." And he's like, "Wow, that's great. Good thing I was thinking the same thing." So,
beat him to the punch.
yeah. So we were looking at military schools, when I was in the 10th grade, and I went to a summer camp down there at the Marine Military Academy, and I fell in love. And I called my dad halfway through it on a weekend. I was like, "Dad, I love it. This place is great." I was just eating up the whole military thing,
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, that's good because you're already enrolled." I'm like, "Okay." And,
he beat you that time.
Yeah. So I spent 3 years down there. I had to do 10th grade over again because they didn't like how my first 10th grade went. And but it was a good experience. I didn't learn as much as I should have from it, but in hindsight, the lessons that I learned there have been phenomenal. It was a great experience, and funny enough, fast forward a whole bunch of years, 2016, 17, I went down there to be a drill instructor. I was the first alumni to go back down there and be a drill instructor for one of the cadet companies. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was really good experience. Of course, the academy staff is awesome, and the cadets were every bit as awesome as I expected that they would be.
Right.
And they're all off doing great things now. But unfortunately, I had back surgeries going on and things like that, and I just wasn't able to, devote the attention to it that I needed to. So had to move on from that. But that was cool. So anyway, so moved around a lot, 13 schools in 13 years. Dad was, then a TWA pilot, flying out of different places at different times. He was flying out of Kansas City when we moved to Kansas City, but then he got domiciled out in New York. So then he's commuting from Kansas City to New York. Right. And then we moved, to South Carolina. It's like, how does that make sense? But anyway, lots of interesting moves. And my mom, I think I had the quintessential sort of suburban upbringing, really. All the places we lived were kind of suburban, and I was fortunate to, I never went hungry and never needed anything, and it was all great. But my mom and dad were awesome, and just recently lost my dad. He was 90, so he had a good run, and
he did.
Lost my mom to cancer back in 2012.
Okay,
hit kind of hard, but
right.
But they got divorced when I was 14.
Wow.
South Carolina.
Okay.
And then they both had been remarried and all that, but it was a good life coming up as a kid, and they both gave us all plenty of free reign, to go out. You know how it was back in the 70s and 80s. When you're kids, it's like kick them out the front door
right.
and don't come back till it's dark. And and it was actually kind of like that in the summertime. But but I've got 4 brothers and sisters. I got an older brother who's 2 years older than me. He was also a Marine.
Okay. Nice.
And I got a younger sister who's 2 years younger, and then I have a younger brother who's 8 years younger than me. And,
wow.
But we're all still very close. And in fact, I mentioned that we just lost my dad in October. We're going to bury him up in Maine next month. So we're all getting together, have a little family reunion.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be good, huh?
Yeah.
Now, are they all over the country, your brothers and sisters? Are they close
and it's kind of been like that for forever, man. Our family's always been sort of geographically scattered. Like I said, I was born in St. Pete, Florida, and I never went back. I mean,
right.
The only time I've been to Florida since then is to visit, and we never really had roots, kind of moved around wherever the family was. That's where home was. And
yeah. Makes sense. That's almost just the regular Marine Corps life there.
It's
like you were being trained for it. So
having a dad that was an airline pilot and all that kind of set me up for at least being used to that sort of a lifestyle.
Right.
And, so of course going to the Marine Military Academy for high school sort of solidified that in my mind. I actually had a couple relatives that I didn't know a whole lot about when I was younger. As I got older, I learned a little more. My great uncle was a Marine who was on Guam in when the Japanese took it in.
No kidding.
War II. Yeah, and he came back from the war, a changed man. From that experience, struggled with it most of his life. But then I also had a great grandfather who served in the Marine Corps in around the turn of the last century. So, the Philippine insurrection, the Peking Wall, with Dan Daly and all that, right?
Yeah.
So he was there. And
wow.
Here's a story. So, when we were walking around the modern day Marine, did you see the couple that was dressed up in the period uniforms? Yeah. So they're awesome, by the way.
They're supposed to come on the podcast. I've reached out to them, so I'm just waiting on the date. But
yeah, they're very cool. But they would have. I haven't told them this story because I don't want them to cry. But when we first moved into my grandfather's house in South Carolina, I was just entering 6th grade, and that it was an old farmhouse on 33 acres, and up in the attic, it was just an unfinished attic, but there was just all this stuff. And for a kid my age, that's like, ooh, there's all this cool stuff,
Treasure.
So every day I'd come back from school and I'd just go rooting through there and try to see what I could find. And it was Grandpa's old house, So, but I found this old chest, and it had all these uniforms in it. And looking back on it, I know now it was an entire uniform issue from the turn of the last century.
Wow.
So all that stuff that my great grandfather had, from his time in the Marine Corps, was in that trunk.
Holy cow.
His leggings, his boondockers, his button board. There was like a metal button board that had all his buttons on it that he polished them, and his dress blue uniform, his service uniform, all that, the khaki shirts, the whole 9 yards. It was all in there.
Wow.
And I didn't realize what it was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know the significance of it, in 6th grade. But I was like, oh, it's really cool. And I remember coming back from school one day, and I went up there, and the whole attic was cleared out. There was nothing. It was like spick and span. There was nothing left in there. And I was like, hey, Mom, what happened to all the stuff? And she was like, oh, I paid some salvage guy to come and get everything and take it away. And I'm like, oh no.
Wow.
So all that stuff is just gone. Right.
Well, it's got to be out there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure
know?
that guy didn't know what he had, but,
wow.
Yeah, that was a horror story, but
yeah. Holy cow.
So I got some Marines in the family, but we got all kinds of family members that served. I have an uncle, my dad's brother, who was a colonel in the Air Force. So
wow.
Physiologist. He's actually one of the only Air Force officers to have become a Navy master diver. It's like, how do you do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's because he was a physiologist and he was doing all this research on, pressurization and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah,
the whole master diver thing, kind of fit in. So,
wow.
But yeah, that was interesting. And I have a cousin that was in the Army. He was a cavalry scout over in Germany for like 9 years, and poor guy. And then, there's me and my brother. My brother was a Harrier pilot.
Oh wow,
Chris. Yeah, he. We're only 2 years apart. So when he was in college, I had already joined the Marine Corps when he was still trying to finish up college. And, he probably won't mind me saying this, but college was kind of a struggle for him. He didn't, it took him a minute to figure out what he was doing. Me, I never finished college. I started and I made it like a semester and left. So, he did better than I did for sure. But
I understand that. I did the same type of thing. I went to college. I didn't stay.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of funny, growing up when we were younger, everybody thought I was the one, I was going to graduate from the Marine Military Academy and go get a commission and fly, jets for the Marine Corps or whatever, because that's what I wanted to do. And he ended up getting a commission and ended up flying Harriers, and he ended up being a squadron commander and retired as a lieutenant colonel.
Wow.
So he did very, very well, and had an outstanding career. Me, for whatever reason, I decided that I needed to be an infantryman first. I wanted to have that experience, and I did. And I wanted to be a scout sniper because I read the book, the 93 confirmed kills or whatever about Carlos. Came out like 1983. Yeah, but so I read that book, and that got me hooked on the whole scout sniper thing. And I was like, I'm going to be a grunt. I'm going to be an NCO. I'm going to be a scout sniper. And sure as hell, I did it. And the whole idea of going to college just sort of drifted away.
Yeah. So that really, that struck a chord with you as far as what you wanted to do specifically.
Yeah.
Not everybody, I guess, joins up thinking, hey, I want to be a scout sniper.
Yeah. It's, most people obviously don't really know what scout snipers are. I think a lot of people have heard the term. It kind of gets thrown around out there, kind of like Recon Marine or whatever, or even Army Ranger. People kind of have an idea what it is, but they don't really know what it is. Unless they're part of the community. And but I kind of knew what it was about in general terms, and I knew I wanted. It was hard. I knew it was hard, and I wanted to do hard stuff. And you know how it is, man. The Marine Corps recruiter, they always get you with the challenge. Like, you want to be average? Do you want to be mediocre? Go see the Navy. Go see the Army.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no. I want to be special. I want to be, awesome. And you want to be one of us.
Hook, line, and sinker. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I joined the Marine Corps on the delayed entry program in between my junior and senior year, and then right after I graduated in '86, I went to boot camp in San Diego, and that kind of kicked off my Marine Corps career. And I did about 2.5 years as a reservist. I was a reserve radio operator to start with, which is not exactly how I meant for that to go, but that's what my dad would sign for me when I was 17, trying to get the delayed entry program. And but as soon as I got in, I made every effort I could to try to go back to what I originally had planned, which was be a grunt and be on active duty and all that. And got real lucky and had an opportunity to meet General Al Gray.
Nice.
Back in the fall of '88, and I was young reservist on recruiter aid, there at the RS Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And he was coming to Kansas City to give a speech for some kind of Navy League, function or something like that. They're having this thing at the Hyatt Regency downtown, and one of the recruiters mentioned it to me, and I was like, "What do you want me to do about that?" He's like, "No, you should go meet him. You might be able to get on active duty." And I was like, "Okay." And so turns out you could buy tickets. So Lance Corporal Parkhurst bought a ticket with a friend of his, and we both showed up. He was a poolee, so he was in a suit, and I was in my service alphas.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked into the door, typically late, for a Lance Corporal. Walked into the big meeting room there at the Hyatt, and the door went, made this real loud creak.
Of course,
you could have heard a pin drop, man. I stuck my head in the door, and it's like this whole room full of hundreds of Marine officers, all in their dress whites. And I'm a Lance Corporal in my service alphas. And so when everybody turned and looked at what that loud creaking noise was, they saw me standing there like looking stupid. And anyway, me and my buddy found a place to sit off in the corner, and General Gray was in the middle of his speech already. And but anyway, got a chance to meet him, and he asked what he could do for me. And I said, "Well, sir, I just want to be on active duty. I want to be a grunt." "Well, what's wrong with you?" "Nothing, sir." He's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, because when he shook my hand, he was like, "Pow!" And I didn't fall down, so I guess that must have been like a recommendation or something, And,
right.
And he said, "Yeah, well, I know what's going on." He said, "There's the Graham-Rudman bill got passed, earlier this year, and that's why all your packages are getting turned down." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, that explains it." And that was the first of the big budget cuts back in the late 80s. And,
okay.
The first thing the Marine Corps did was they put a freeze on augmenting from reserve to active duty. And so I just got caught up in that. And what should have been a real easy fill out a form, and, the prior service guy at headquarters Marine Corps finds a slot for me and sends me on my way. Didn't happen like that. It took me, better part of a year. And anyway, so about 10 days later, I'm in the recruiting station in Overland Park, Kansas. And the front door slams. It's one of these joint recruiting centers. It's got the Army, Navy, and Marines, all different offices down the hall. Right. And the front door slams open, and somebody comes stomp. You can hear his feet stomp, 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 stomp. And it's the RSCO, and the major is coming in, and he slammed the door open. "Where's Parkhurst? Where's Lance Corporal Parkhurst?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh crap!" And Sergeant Jones, my recruiter, is standing next to me. I'm like, "Dude, where can I hide?" And he's like, "You're not hiding. Stand in the middle of the room and take what's coming." And I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
So he comes into the room, and he sees me, and he's like, he can't even put two sentences together, right? And he's like, "I don't know who you talk to," or he's waving these papers all over the place. He's like, "I don't know what you did, but," and he throws the papers on the desk, and he says, get the heck out of my office." And he turns around and he walks away. And I'm like, okay, that was rough, and then I look at Sergeant Jones, and I said, "Should I leave?" He said, "Get out of the office." And he's like, "No, idiot, pick up the freaking papers." So I picked up the papers, and I'm looking at it, and it's orders to Victor 3-5.
Wow.
As an 0351 assault man. And I'm like,
right.
So that was how I got back in, but is that your better half?
No, that was my daughter.
Okay.
My cat caught a bird, and then she had to go out, and she got the bird from the cat, and she was showing me the bird.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Do you need to go deal with that, or?
Oh, no, we're good. It's just a bird.
Yeah.
It'll fly away eventually.
Yeah. I shot a groundhog this morning.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, we have one that he's trying to live under our house, and I'm not having a groundhog undermining my foundation. So
yeah, that's a bad place for a groundhog.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was how I got back on active duty. So I got to 3-5 in January of '89, and turns out one of the guys that was on the I&I staff for my reserve unit was moving at about the same time, and he ended up being my section leader. His name was Sergeant Dave Rutan, and he had been the armorer for 24th Marines there in Kansas City, and now he's my Dragon section leader. I walked into Weapons Company 3-5 in my Alphas, with my orders and my sea bag, checking. Hey, I'm here to check in. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here. And he goes, yeah. He's in his office, and I kind of recognized the guy, but I'm like, I didn't want to say anything. And he's like, yeah, I know who you are. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is not good. But he ended up being a real good guy. But, 3-5 was awesome, man. I was there from 89 to 93. And,
nice.
That first year and a half, I was in Dragon's platoon in Weapons Company.
Okay.
So firing that old rocket that we used to have.
Yeah.
That thing was interesting. But I got a chance to. Yeah, go ahead.
Because you didn't go through infantry training, any of that stuff. You just went directly to a unit. What was that like? I mean, you're checking, you're going straight to it.
It was a little intimidating, but you know how they always tell you, bloom where planted or whatever?
Right.
That's what all the staff NCOs will tell you.
That's right.
I just had to adapt, It's not that I wanted to skip ITS or SOI, or it wasn't SOI then. I guess it was ITS. Infantry Training Regiment.
Something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I had been school trained as a radio operator right after boot camp. Went to 21 Palms, did that. Before I went back home to my reserve unit. But I didn't get to go to infantry school, and I just kind of got thrown into the deep end as a senior Lance Corporal with no infantry experience, and now I'm at 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. One of the most illustrious battalions in the Marine Corps, and everybody's just trying to eat my lunch.
Yeah.
But I remember I got there in January, and I picked up corporal in October of '89.
Okay.
And it was right before we deployed to go to Panama.
Oh, wow.
And my then section head was Staff Sergeant Ramirez. Yeah, so Staff Sergeant Ramirez had been a prior service guy. And back then, to us, prior service guys were like these weird creatures, kind of like warrant officers, It's like nobody can really figure out what they're about,
Right.
But he had been a staff sergeant or a sergeant or something on active duty before. And he got out, and then he came back in. When he came back in, he was a sergeant. And he picked up staff sergeant pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And he was obviously old school, and he was obviously pretty salty, and he was a really good Marine. And but he became my section leader when I picked up corporal. And I remember, like, right after I picked up corporal, we're having a little section leaders meeting, and all the squad leaders are meeting with him, and he says, hey Parkhurst, I want you to go get somebody to go empty the shit can down there on the basketball court.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. I walked outside. I'm looking around, trying to find anybody, and I see a Lance Corporal that I know very well that was in my section, and he's walking across the basketball court, and he's right there. So I'm like, hey, can you empty the shit can for me? And he stops, he looks at me, and he's like, pfft, and he keeps walking. And I look at Staff Sergeant Ramirez, and he's like, you better get your ass down there right now. I'm like, got it. I'm on it. I'm hauling ass down there, right? About to do my NCO thing for the first time and impose my will on somebody that obviously doesn't want to be imposed on.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, man, I asked you, now I'm telling you, I need you to empty the shit can. How hard is it, right? And he was about to get in my face and like, be the rebellious Lance Corporal that wants to test the new corporal.
Right.
And over my shoulder comes Staff Sergeant Ramirez, who he's the big, blocky, Hispanic dude, looks like a linebacker, right? And he comes over my shoulder and just straight arms this kid in the chest and sends him flying back about 10, 15 feet. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck just happened? And he's standing over him, like looking down on him. Don't you ever talk to an NCO, blah, 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 blah. And then he turns around, he looks at me, and he gets up in my face, and he says, I'll do this for you once. Don't make me do it again. I'm like,
wow. Sergeant. he showed you the path.
Yeah. And he said the only reason he did that for me was because I was standing my ground, and I wasn't gonna just let the kid walk. This other guy who was my peer yesterday, now I'm his senior tomorrow. And it's like, Anyway, that was my wake up call to being an NCO, and he and I were still good after that. But Staff Sergeant Ramirez, he drew a line in the sand, and made sure everybody knew it.
That's pretty cool. It's good to have some of those salty leaders like that to be able to have your back and kind of push and make sure that we're towing the line,
Yeah, we had a bunch of them back then.
I
mean, there was still not many. I think there was still one master sergeant that had served in Vietnam that was left in 1st Marine Division.
Holy cow.
This is 89, so it's like it's pretty long after the war.
Right.
There weren't that many master sergeants, or even sergeants major. I guess there were still some sergeants major around, but not too many.
Yeah.
Who'd seen action in Vietnam. So, but anyway, that was a great time, man. We went to Bridgeport that year and supposed to do a mountain. We were supposed to do a mountain package, and it turned into a snow package. Had a blizzard come in unexpectedly, and
right.
I love that place, man. You ever been to Bridgeport?
I've been up there. I've not done any of the training up there, but I have been up there. It is a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah, I wanted to get stationed there so bad throughout my career, never could swing it.
Yeah, it would be a cool place to be. I mean, it does get cold up there when the snowstorms and stuff come through, but it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's another guy with my same last name, Anthony Parkhurst. He's a retired Marine. He just passed away about a year or two ago. But he was a sergeant when I was a corporal, and he was at Bridgeport as an instructor when our battalion went up there in 89.
No kidding.
That guy spent almost his entire career at Bridgeport. Yeah.
How did he do that?
Well, he got into the pack mules, the pack horses and stuff. There's like this many people that can do that know, the ins and outs of, horse wrangling and all that kind of stuff. And he actually created a job for himself as a civilian when he retired, and he stayed there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, good for you. Should have been me, but hey, that's all right. But at least I got a chance to go. So General Gray had an unfortunate circumstance that happened later that year in 88. I don't know if you remember, there was a helicopter crash over in Korea at Team Spirit 88, where two CH-53s collided when they were coming into land during Team Spirit. And, when one battalion deploys, a lot of guys cross deck over to fill up the deploying battalion. So there were guys from 3-5, from 2-5, whatever, and so everybody knew somebody that was on those helicopters. And when that happened, General Gray came out late that year. I want to say that was right around the time I picked up corporal, in October, November timeframe. But yeah, he came out to our memorial service there at 5th Marines at Margarita. And he saw me through the crowd. Like there's like 1,000 Marines all like around General Gray. And, this whole sea of guys that all look the same with the same haircut and the same clothes. And the crowd parted just for a second. And, from 100 feet away, he pointed right at me and looked me in the eyes, like gave me a thumbs up. And I'm like, yeah. So, anyway, but he was cool, man. They don't make them like him anymore.
That's amazing. The memory that he has or had, and then not just him, like any general officer. Their memories are freaking insane. I don't know how they do it. I can barely remember what I did yesterday. And these guys are out there remembering details about things from years ago. So they're smart guys.
Yeah. Most general officers are like that. It's an uncanny ability to remember all the details about, their Marines and their families and their lives and all that. It's pretty cool.
It is.
But so after that, did the little thing in Panama, which didn't amount to much for us because we got sent home early. Something our battalion commander at the time said to the SF guys who ran the show for the operation in Panama didn't sit right with them, so they sent us packing. Before the big show started. So is what it is. Yeah.
Now, did you how did you get down there? Is float down or?
No, we flew down on a C-141, and we didn't know. The command staff had an idea that stuff was, things are brewing down there for some time, and they thought that we were going to get caught up in whatever was going on down there, and they were planning for that. We actually, the official reason we went down was for the Jungle Operations Training course at Fort Sherman. So that's what we went down there for. We were doing that, and then it got interrupted, and we started doing live patrols out in different parts of the Canal Zone. And we did do that. We did live patrols and stuff in preparation for Just Cause, but we didn't participate in the actual invasion. By the time the actual invasion started, we were already on a plane and gone. Then let's see. My first actual deployment, my first UDP was February of 90. We flew over to Okinawa and did the whole UDP thing there. And did Team Spirit, got on ship and went to Korea and spent some time there training with the Korean Marines. And that was awesome. Dude, have you been to Korea?
No, I have not.
Well, if any of your listeners have been to Korea and been to the Susanri range, that range is like it's like the one range on the planet where you can do everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can call you can do overhead fire, you can call every kind of supporting arm, shoot rockets, and have troops in movement and doing all this stuff at the same time. And that was an amazing. I mean, it was better than 29 Palms.
Wow.
It was cool.
Yeah, I've heard it. Like, you're the second person that's come on that mentioned that specifically, and how you can, have, artillery, you have everything. Doesn't matter what it is, you can do it.
Yeah, it was very cool. And as an O351, we're sort of we were sort of the jack of all trades, master of none, I guess. We do a little bit of combat engineer type stuff. We do the rocket stuff. We shoot SMAWs, we shoot AT4s, laws, whatever, double up as an 0311, wherever we were needed, that's kind of where we went. And, so we got our hands on lots of demo out there and got to blow up a lot of stuff, and got to initiate some ambushes with rockets and, just cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's stuff you don't get to do every day.
Yeah. Run up on a tank Hulk with a 50-pound satchel charge and shove it into the turret ring and pull the fuse and run and watch it blow up behind you. It's cool stuff.
Wow.
So I don't think they teach Marines to do that anymore.
Probably not. They have other things, easier ways of doing it probably.
Yeah. Hey, Marine, run up to that tank, like right up to it, and shove the big thing of explosives right into it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was.
They got a drone or a robot that can do that now.
Yeah. So while I was on that deployment, once we got back from Team Spirit, went back to Oki, and I had that's where this story comes full circle, and had an opportunity to take the stay platoon indoc. So for your listeners that don't know, stay platoon, STA stands for Surveillance and Target Acquisition Platoon, and so it's what became eventually the Scout Sniper Platoon, and so that's kind of what like I said, I always had wanted to get into that, and I was like, oh man, I'm doing it, and I managed to pass. Boogered up my knee during the field exercise at the end. Fell on a volcanic cliff in Okinawa and broke my kneecap in half, and
oh dang,
finished the patrol on a busted kneecap, and
wow.
But they took me, and so that was good. And
yeah.
It was towards the end of the deployment, and I was trying to heal up by the time we got back, and they transferred me over to Stay Platoon from Weapons Company. And the day
if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about that evolution of going through that course.
The INDOC. Oh yeah. Well, so INDOCs are different for everybody, and I say that because every infantry battalion has its own sniper platoon or Stay Platoon.
Right.
And so it's not something that was like centrally controlled by division or some higher headquarters. If you wanted to do a Stay INDOC at your battalion, that INDOC looked the way, whoever the staff NCOs or NCOs in that platoon wanted it to look. It might be a 3-day gut check, or it might be a 5-week, really in-depth thing, which, funny enough, the last Stay INDOC that I got to run as the chief scout there before I got out was they initially authorized me to take 5 weeks. We ended up not taking all of it, but I mean, what CO entrusts a young sergeant and his corporals and lance corporals with running an in-house course for 5 freaking weeks, And
that's pretty awesome.
It is, yeah. And so when I saw you at Modern Day Marine, I don't know if I told you, but the guy who fought that battle for us and got the CO to authorize it was my company commander in Weapons Company, because they had moved our Stay Platoon to Weapons Company towards the end of my tour. And then Captain Sudreth was my company commander. And I saw him there at Modern Day Marine.
No kidding.
Years later. Yeah.
Wow,
so
that's cool.
That was super cool. Yeah. Great guy. Great Marine.
Man, what a small world.
I know, right? Yeah. So the INDOC was cool. That one was it was a 2-week thing. 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. Two working weeks basically. And it was all done there in Okinawa. We were at Camp Schwab on that deployment. So most of the stuff was centered around Schwab. We did some things up in NTA. And, most INDOCs for Stay Platoons consist of at least land nav is a big one. Some shooting of some kind, if they can, find the ammo to get it in there. And then, they'll take classes right out of sniper school, maybe some employment classes or some mission planning classes, 5-paragraph order type stuff.
Right.
Some guys will go in depth and try to get the students to write a TOOT, or a tactical exercise without troops, which is basically a very detailed 5-paragraph order. That you stay up all night kind of thing, trying to jam this thing out, and it's 20-30 pages or whatever.
Oh, geez.
With overlays and annexes and blah 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 blah. So basically planning for everything. So that there's a contingency for literally every possible scenario under the sun. And that was the whole point of the exercise. And but yeah, stuff like that.
Okay.
For ours, I think that class that we did, it was more of the field skills. The range estimations and PT mixed in there, some patrolling, shooting, different things like that. Just a good mix of skills that snipers use, building on basic infantry stuff, and kind of taking it to a little more advanced level.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So once I got through the INDOC, that just got me into the platoon, and then now that I'm in the platoon, now I got to wait in line. I got to figure out. I don't know these guys very well because I wasn't in that platoon. I was in a different platoon.
Right.
And so I got to figure out what's the pecking order here. Who's been waiting the longest, who's the senior guy, who's getting out, who's staying in, whatever. And it was pretty fortunate for me fortunate and unfortunate in a way. When we went through the indoc, we had a really, really senior platoon. We had a staff sergeant and probably 5 or 6 really senior sergeants, and they were all hogs. And we had a bunch of corporals, and they were all scout snipers. They were all school trained guys. And then after that deployment, and I was going to say the day we flew into March Air Reserve Base in California to come home was the day Iraq invaded Kuwait that set off Desert Storm.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was August 2nd.
Wow.
So we got on the buses at March and we drove back to Camp Pendleton. And when we pulled into the battalion area, some staff sergeant that we didn't know gets on the bus and says, "Gentlemen, Iraq has invaded Kuwait. All leave is canceled. You're not going anywhere. Leave is canceled. Da, 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 and we're going to war." And we're like, "No, dude, I'm going on leave." That's what we're all thinking. And leave did get canceled, but then leave got put back on, and we actually got to go on leave. And we got delayed to go over to the desert. I think we got on ship on the 2nd or maybe it was the 5th of December.
Okay.
You know what? I think it was the 2nd we started getting on ship, and then the 5th was when we pulled out of port in San Diego.
Okay.
And so we went over with 5th Med.
I see.
Yeah, so 3-5 was part of that. And they had 5th Med going over there, and then 4th Med separately. And 31st MU merged into the Med as well. And that was an interesting deployment. But I got a chance to go to sniper school before I deployed, which was cool for me. But I didn't graduate because they pulled us out early.
Oh yeah.
So they don't like to give shortcuts to anybody, and so we were just getting ready to start field week, and that's kind of like the end, right? And so not only me, and there was I think 1 or 2 other guys that I was in the course with, and we had 2 instructors from our battalion. So back then, instructors at division schools were fapped out; they weren't PCS'd.
So they were coming from the different battalions or the different state platoons within the battalions.
Right. So like Sergeant Chandler and Sergeant Pribble were ours, and 3-5 still owned them, even though they were at division schools teaching.
Yeah.
3-5 owned them, and when it was time to go, they're like, "Hey, you're coming back,"
Right.
And so they did that right in the middle of the course, and so I didn't get to graduate.
Hey, real quick, if you don't mind, for anybody that's listening that maybe don't understand, state platoon, that when you did the indoc for that's for the battalion to choose who they want to send to sniper school.
That's for them to choose who they want in the platoon.
In the platoon, okay.
So if I did not pass the indoc, I would have stayed in weapons company as a dragon gunner.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? And just continue that path. But since I passed the indoc, that allowed me into the platoon. They accepted me to move into the state platoon. So I'm in the platoon, and everybody in the platoon is working towards going to sniper school if they haven't already been. And that was sort of a mentality that if you don't want to go to sniper school, you don't need to be here. We'll send you back to a line company somewhere. So yeah, it was the indoc was tough Marines, all salty dudes, and we lost them all when we came off that Okinawa deployment.
Oh, really?
And, so suddenly I went from being the brand new guy to being also one of the more senior guys. There were a couple guys more senior than me, but not many. There were the 2 that came back from sniper school that deployed to Desert Storm with us. Obviously, they were more senior, and we had 2 or 3 other corporals that were in the platoon at that time. But very, very few school trained guys, and so all that experience just kind of evaporated after that first UDP. And then But we did the Desert Storm thing, much ado about nothing. We took a couple shots here and there, whatever, no confirmed kills or anything like that for us. Some guys did, but not us. And then we came home 7 months later after, turning circles out in the Persian Gulf for a long time.
Right.
We came on back. We're the lucky ones, got to stop in Bangladesh on the way back, and we did Operation Sea Angel.
Okay.
And, that was the typhoon relief. It's like every other year, the whole country of Bangladesh gets flooded.
Yeah.
And it's like practically wiped off the map, and then the rest of the world has to pitch in and try to get them bailed out and dried out. And I remember when our ship pulled into the Bay of Bengal, it was in the middle of the night, and there were so many people in Bangladesh that had gotten killed from the storm and the floods,
mm-hmm.
and there was nowhere to bury them, because everything's flooded. And so they would stack bodies on these big rafts. They'd make rafts out of logs.
No kidding. Wow.
Just stack bodies as high as they could and just send them out to sea. And everything is just flowing out to sea, And so in the middle of the night, we were hearing all these bumps up against the side of the ship. And it was these rafts, and it was just like this stench of death everywhere.
Wow.
From all these rafts getting pushed out to sea. And,
that's wild.
Yeah. But it was a cool experience, though. I got helicoptered onto an island with my small 6-man team. We had a lieutenant with us and a corpsman and some guys, from our state platoon. And what was the name of this? Mishkyle Island, I think, is what it was called.
Okay.
It's just an island right off the coast of mainland Bangladesh, and it was just up the coast from Chittagong, which is the capital. And but this little island hadn't seen a white man since World War II.
No kidding.
When the Brits were there. And
wow.
So we helicoptered into the soccer field that was right in the middle of the island, got off the bird, and all these kids came running up, and they're like, oh, and they're all wanting to touch you and,
yeah,
pull on you and stuff. And it was funny.
It's almost like being a celebrity, like the Beatles or something,
Yeah. Yeah. Except for that paycheck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got a cool picture with a bunch of the local kids. They were, they're like kids everywhere, man. They're curious and inquisitive, yeah. And they want to know what's going on, and everybody realized we were there to help, and so everybody cleared a path for us, and
mm-hmm.
and they actually, these people that had literally nothing, invited us into their homes, those that had homes, because some of their homes got wiped. If you lived on the coast, your home was gone.
Right.
And they fed us, what little food they had, and it was very cool.
Man, that's amazing. I guess the camaraderie of the world, and how people will come together and say, hey, you know what, we're going to help each other, and then they bring you into their home. There's always good out there, right?
Yeah.
That was what I was trying to say there, but
yeah, no, it was a great experience. I think we all felt pretty good about it. One of the interesting things about Bangladesh is it's a majority Hindu country.
Okay.
But the Muslim population runs the country.
No kidding. So, wow.
I don't know what the percentage is now. I think at the time, it was like 80-20. It was like 80% Hindu, 20% Muslim. And the Muslim minority was in the position of authority, and they ran everything. So all the military officers were Muslim. Very few officers in their military were Hindu. And so what was interesting is in some of these villages, you had the Muslim minority, but they're the in power minority, who their homes were made of block, cinder block,
right?
And they were in the middle of the island, away from the beach, and away from the most damage and the flooding, right?
Right.
And the people whose home we stayed in, they were Muslim. But all the Hindus lived out in the surrounding areas. And most of them lived in thatched huts and lived on the beach. And when we went to go survey those areas, it's like there's nothing there. It's like, well, yeah, it was there, right?
Yeah.
And the storm blew it all away. And so these are the people who are most in need of assistance.
Right. Yeah.
But the Army controlled the inflow of all the humanitarian goods that we brought in. And so we tried to bypass that a little bit. They had these huge structures that were built on the beach, and they were just like these big concrete pillars with a raised deck and then another raised deck above it. And the top raised deck, the first deck is a shelter, and then the top deck was a helicopter can land there. It was sturdy enough for that. And these were dotted around the countryside all over the place, and they were meant just for things like this, where big typhoon comes. And so
the people would just get on the shelter part, and then if the helicopter could, to rescue them or something. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if they needed rescuing, that's what it was for. But it was also you could use it to resupply. It could be like a central hub. If you had Marine C-130s or CH-53s coming in with resupply, you could take them to the center of the island and drop it in the middle of the soccer field. That would be easier. But what we figured out was that all the people who needed the supplies, who weren't getting them because the Muslim, folks that were in power were keeping it in a warehouse, and they weren't distributing it to the Hindus. And so we said, you know what, we'll call in the next resupply of emergency food supplies and have it land on the shelter, because the shelter's right in the middle of the Hindu area that's on the beach.
Right.
And if our helicopters dropped this stuff there and flew away, all the Hindus could get the stuff and take off with it before the Muslims ever showed up, because the system was set up that we would drop everything in the soccer field, and then the Bangladesh military would come and gather it all up and then distribute it. But they weren't distributing it; they were just warehousing it, and nobody was getting anything.
Wow!
And so we saw that, and we're like, yeah, we're not doing that. So.
Interesting. So, and you were able to do it that way?
Yeah. We had a couple of airlists that came in. Not all of it, but some. We were able to get dropped off on the storm shelter thing, and that was our little FU to the Intifada, whatever. But anyway,
well, that's good. I mean, it's good that you all figured that out and was able to adjust or do something different.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what Marines do, We were just a 6-man team. We had a lieutenant. Our lieutenant was a motor T guy. He never imagined he was going to be leading some little, humanitarian disaster assessment team, out in BFE Bangladesh, and it was a really eye-opening experience for a bunch of young Marines.
Yeah. Now, how long were you guys there on that island?
Oh gosh, I think we were only there for maybe a week, something like that, 2 weeks. Yeah, it wasn't that long. Then we got back on ship and headed back home. Yeah, 5th Med continued sailing towards the Philippines, and of course, when we stopped in the Philippines, this was June of '91. And what happened in June of '91 in the Philippines? Mount Pinatubo, big volcano.
Oh yeah.
We actually pulled out of port at Subic Bay. Our ship was leaving at sunrise when the volcano was exploding.
No way.
Yeah. So we were pulling out of port and just could see all this massive, cloud of plume of ash and everything, rising in the distance. And what was crazy is that just hours after that, all that ash was raining down on Subic Bay.
Oh yeah,
and Alongapo, and yeah, it was very destructive. But,
but you guys didn't stick around. You guys were
31st Muse stuck around. So elements of the 31st Muse stuck around to evacuate people, but the rest of the 5th Med that I was part of continued on to California. They don't want to risk the whole fleet out there, for that. So 31st Muse, based out of Japan, so they got stuck with it.
Yeah,
it was a good mission though. That was a heck of a time.
Now, you're coming back, during that time, right? A lot of the units got the ticker tape parades and all this other nice stuff. By the time you guys made it back, did you guys get any of that?
Yeah, I don't know anything about all that. We got back a little late, and certainly the tide of opinion had changed quite a bit in the United States towards servicemen in general. And so, we felt pretty good about it. It's not like we felt like we were left out, but we didn't get to be involved in any of the festivities or anything. That was all long gone by the time we got back. Mm-hmm. So, interesting note, on the way over, they were playing this thing up so much to the point that, we all thought, well, we're going to die. We're all just going to die. We're doing an amphibious assault across the beach in Iraq, with these layered minefields and concertina wire and stuff like D-Day or something, and that was literally the plan, but it was the deception plan. We didn't know it was a deception. We all thought it was the real plan,
right?
But that was the great deception, right? So that everybody thought it was real until it wasn't, and then we just kind of went around all that and just went straight up the middle. But we went over there thinking that's, our battalion commander was telling us, we're probably going to suffer 60% plus casualties. And we're all like, crap. and
that's an eye opener.
Yeah, we all respected our battalion commander. He's a great guy. And when he said that, it was like, yeah. And so when we were in the Philippines and in Hawaii and stuff on the way over, it was like, man, some guys, we had a corpsman that actually deserted.
Really?
Yeah, I won't say his name, but he took off in the Philippines and shacked up with a girl, and they found him some weeks later and arrested him, whatever. But yeah, he failed to make it back to the ship, missed a movement, and he was scared. He saw it coming, and he was a corpsman for a state platoon.
Oh, wow.
And so we got a new corpsman. He worked out pretty well. And then, oh man, we spent money. Grunts are gear gadgets or gear geeks, right?
Yeah.
So gadget geeks, gear geeks, whatever. And any new piece of gear that comes out, if it's gonna help us carry the load better or make our feet more comfortable or make our back less sore, we're all about it,
Right.
And everybody was just spending money left and right on all of the latest and greatest nylon gear and whatever that they could get their hands on.
Yeah.
And I personally spent I'm not even gonna say a number because it's embarrassing, but I spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I was going to have to pay the bill. I literally thought we were all going to die. And
geez.
yeah. I thought, we were at peace with that. It's like,
wow.
That's what grunts do. You're getting ready to go to war. Your boss has already given you the big moto speech and, told you to make peace with death and all that kind of stuff. And, it turned out to be nothing. And then we come back and it's like, oh crap, I got this credit card bill. Yeah.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah. But that was one of the more humorous aspects of coming back and having to face the reality of actually being alive and nothing happened. It's like,
you brought up a good point though, that facing the reality of the potential death, like not coming back. That gets some people. They, like you were saying, the corpsman that took off. A lot of people can't make peace with it.
Yeah, Yeah, he had a real hard time with that, and it was basically after we got that speech from the boss saying
Yeah.
what to expect, and he's just being honest with us,
Mm-hmm.
like he should be, and
Agreed, yeah.
but it was yeah, there's a big mental game there, the whole thing about mental resiliency and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, bulletproofing the mind. Um, you can't bulletproof it completely, but you just have to accept that certain things are going to happen if they're going to happen,
Right.
and if they are or if they're not, you can't stop it either way.
Yeah.
You can't prevent it.
Very true. Mm-hmm.
You just have to do the best you can, to do right by the guy to your left and your right while you're there in the situation, and that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow. Yeah, that's really all you can do.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
hope
Well,
and pray for the best. So
yeah. Well, it worked out, man. I mean, we didn't lose anybody from our battalion. I brought everybody home, and I think we only had one guy in the whole MEB that got wounded, and he was a negligent discharge. I can't remember what battalion he was with. He was riding an Amtrak with a SMAW, and he had, the 9mm spotter rounds in the SMAW.
Uh-huh.
Well, he had the SMAW inverted, and he had it resting on his foot in the Amtrak. And he had a round chambered in the spotting thing on the SMAW, and it went off. Put a 9mm round through his foot while he was riding in the Amtrak. And,
Ooh.
so, yeah, for us, I mean that I know there were other units that were more closely engaged than that, and I know we lost some guys and stuff, but not from 5th Med,
right?
Thankfully. So yeah. But what were you doing around that time?
Oh, I wasn't even in during that time. I was, let's see, 90. I was probably in, I was in junior high.
What? Are you kidding me?
No,
I thought you were older than that.
Oh, I'm not. Hey, I'm a young guy.
Yeah.
I'm young. Yeah.
The gray is starting to betray you.
Well, sometimes it comes in early. What are you going to do? No, I joined in 99. So I was.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I came in.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, this is like the longest I've ever talked about myself.
Oh, you're doing fantastic. This is great.
Well, so that deployment was obviously a kind of a pivotal thing because it was, a big deal in the grand scheme of things. And even though we kind of got back and a lot of us felt like we didn't really do much, so there was sort of that letdown, after that.
Right.
It was still a great experience. Everybody got a chest full of ribbons, and now the boots had a whole new bar to reach, before they could call themselves salty and all that kind of stuff. So
that's a tough bar to reach when you're the boot coming in after a war.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, after that, for me, it was about trying to get back to sniper school because I got pulled out early the first time, and so I had the opportunity to go to the same class the year following. So the first class I was in 1990 was October to December.
Right.
And so I went back to that same class in 91. And I graduated barely, and thankfully. But the day I graduated Scout Sniper School at Camp Margarita, I walked out to my car, and I had this old '69 Buick convertible, big, huge boat land yacht of a car.
Nice.
And it was a beautiful day. Southern California. It's December, but it's beautiful weather. And the top was down, so I got my hog's tooth, and they congratulated us and gave us our certificates there at the E Club at Margarita.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, I walked out to my car and I sat down and I looked up and I see the birds flying and the sun's out, and I'm like, holy crap! It just occurred to me, like, how much that I now know that I don't know, right?
Right.
Like my eyes have been opened and the scales have fallen off my eyes, and now I realize how much I actually don't know about being a professional Marine.
Yeah.
there comes that realization, I think, for every Marine at some point, or at least I hope so, because it's a good realization to have, where you realize that, oh yeah, I just got this huge brain dump. They just fed me with a fire hose for 11 weeks, and I still don't know squat.
Yeah.
And I'm about to go back to my unit as a corporal, and I'm the chief scout today, the day I graduate Scout Sniper School. And,
oh, geez.
Yeah, it's so I told you we lost all our senior guys before we went to Desert Storm, and
wow, that's intimidating.
It was, yeah, it was horribly intimidating, and
wow.
I probably made a lot of mistakes during that time, but I sure as hell learned a lot. Most of the guys that I knew back then still like me, so I guess I must not have done anything too terribly wrong. But I mean, it was a huge learning curve, not just as a Marine, but even as a human, just as a person walking the earth, to be so young and junior and to be in charge of guys that their lives could depend on, things that you do or don't do, and it's like that really weighed heavy on me, pretty early. But it was fantastic though. It was such a great experience. I had been a team leader, and then all of a sudden I'm a chief scout and platoon sergeant for this Scout Sniper platoon or state platoon, and just literally the best the Marine Corps had to offer. All these kids. We had privates, we had PFCs, lance corporals.
Wow.
And the young NCOs that came up with me that were my peers, just the best of the best of the best. And if they'd have gone on to decide to do anything else in the Marine Corps, if they wanted to go to recon, if they wanted, they could do anything.
Right.
And but we were just happy as a clam right there in State 3-5, just trying to soak up knowledge from our Navy lieutenant that was the naval guns guy, and we had two Marine captains. One was a Cobra pilot, and one was I think he was a Harrier pilot. For our FACs.
Yeah.
And our guys were just soaking up knowledge from them every day. Learning how to call in stuff like that. Things that you got to be a staff NCO and go to JTAC school now to learn.
You were learning.
We were just doing it because they didn't have such a thing as a JTAC.
Right.
Or if they did,
correct me if I'm wrong. That might be stuff that a Scout Sniper would have to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah, Scout Snipers in the modern era have been, they would send guys to JTAC schools and stuff like that. But yeah, it's it was hugely satisfying to work with these guys that I came up with, and one of the things that's interesting about Marine Scout Snipers that people don't really understand the dynamic so much is that every Marine Scout Sniper is infantry. And when you become a Scout Sniper, you become a Scout Sniper in the infantry unit that you were an infantryman in. Right. And so the men that you're now supporting they are what you were yesterday. Right. And, so, when we talk about Overwatch and, the Angel, whatever, kind of that kind of mentality and protecting our own, in Overwatch positions and things like that, it sometimes is about just going out and killing the enemy. And it is sometimes about initiating ambushes, and it is sometimes about, making big changes on a battlefield by taking that one shot. But it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about bringing home more of those 0311s, back to the unit at the end of the day. And, whether that's through using my rifle or through observing and reporting, or whether it's by, calling and controlling supporting arms, it's all geared towards that goal of making sure as many of those guys in the line platoons, come back at the end of the day and come back in through the friendly wire at the end of the day. And we had that mentality in spades in that unit. I loved it. Johnny Janis and Jeff Maddai and Sean Madden and guys like that I served with, just the best. And I'll always got a soft spot right here for that whole.
Well, it should be. Time. It should be.
Yeah.
And that's your first state platoon.
Yeah. It was my only one.
Your only one. Okay.
Yeah. So here's where my story takes a twist. I did Desert Storm. I did one more deployment to the Philippines, a UDP to Okinawa in the Philippines in '92. And I was fortunate enough to meet my wife of 33 years now in the Philippines. And that's a whole other story for another day. But
well, we got time, man. You can tell any story you want.
Well, I don't know. She doesn't like me talking about it too much either, but suffice it to say that I lucked out, and we're still together after 33 years and have two beautiful daughters that are growing up, and our older one's got a family of her own now, and so I'm a grandpa.
Nice.
The gray hair didn't give it away.
Yeah.
I got 3 grandkids, and they only live a couple hours away from us, which is nice.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
So I came home from that deployment in late '92, married, not knowing if I would even ever see her again because of just the tumultuous way of things were in the Philippines at the time, and the U.S.-Philippine relationship was sort of fracturing a bit, and we didn't know how much it would fracture. Turned out it didn't fracture all that much in the grand scheme of things. We're back in the Philippines big time now, as a Marine Corps. But at the time, I wasn't sure if I was even going to be allowed back there if I needed to go to get her. And she didn't have her visa yet. We had a marriage certificate, and she had her military ID, and that was it. But you can't come to America on a military ID, right? And
so you have to have a visa no matter what.
You do. Yeah.
Wow.
And but we did it right, and I was fortunate to have a guy in my corner. There was a Lieutenant Colonel Roach, who was part of I don't remember exactly what they called it, but it was sort of a liaison, like a military liaison office there.
Right.
That they were sort of the last U.S. military personnel left in the Philippines, even after the whole base at Subic was shut down. And, the last deploying troops had left, and the naval magazine was shut down and emptied, and everything was gone.
Wow.
These few guys were still there, like an attaché's office or something. And Lieutenant Colonel Roach, I remember he was an aviator, and he got to know me and my wife before we left, before 3-5, before the Special Purpose MAGTF Philippines dissolved, which I was a part of. And it was Lima Company and other attachments, including about half of our state platoon was part of that ground combat element. And so we had just come down from Okinawa to be a part of that MAGTF. And when we got there in June, we left in I think it was late October from the Philippines. I got married October 7th, and just a couple of weeks later, I'm flying away from QB Point, and my wife has no idea if she's ever going to see me again. And but then, from Okinawa, of course, we then redeployed back to the States in November. And, so now it's this race to try to get her visa approved. And so Colonel Roach was kind enough to, meet with her, and, I would send money and he would get it to her, and, he would send her my letters, and he would take her letters and send them to me, and he acted as a go-between. And this Marine officer was instrumental in the early days of my marriage, getting set up right. And
that's awesome. Did that?
Yeah. Well, nobody thought we'd last a week, I mean, it was,
and here you are 33 years later.
Well, you understand. I mean, you're senior enlisted.
Yeah.
You know what the brief is when you go on deployment. It's like, don't do this, don't do that, don't get married to a local, and not only did I get married to a local, I did it at the same time I was getting meritoriously promoted to sergeant.
Nice.
Yeah, and so that was like, the boss at every level in the chain of command was like, "Didn't I just see you? Yes, sir. You just promoted me to sergeant, and now you're asking me to get married." I'm like, yes, sir, I am. Okay. So you can imagine how that went over.
Yeah, I'm sure you got an earful every step along the way.
Every step. Yeah. But it's been well worth it, man. My wife is a gem, and I would not be the man that I am without her, for sure. Certainly awesome. Wouldn't have this great life that I'm living without her. But anyway, be that as it may, we came back off that deployment at the end of, sorry, I forgot what year we're in, 1992. And, I'm looking at re-enlistment, and, my contract's up in January.
Right.
And I'm having a hard time making up my mind. So I do a 3-month extension to April.
Okay.
And in the whole 1st Marine Division, they only re-enlisted 6 first-term 0351s that year. And you had to stand a board to do it. Well, I stood the board. I made it. And then I'm like, man, if this is how it's going to be, I don't know if I want to stick around and try to do this again. Because what if the next go around they say no? Then I'm screwed, right? And plus they were wanting me to go to the drill field. I didn't really want to do that. And they were telling me that even if I did a successful tour on the drill field and I came back to the grunts, they were saying I probably couldn't be a scout sniper again. And I'm like, well, I definitely don't want that. So I'm just, forget it, man. I'm out. So I've been deployed 4 times in 4 years. I'd like to spend some time with my new wife. Yeah. And so why don't I just, pull chocks and see you later. And so April 93, I got out. And I was out for just about 5 years. And part of that, I was in the reserves for a little bit. Didn't do anything special there. But when I decided that I had made a mistake, which was pretty quickly, it suddenly got very hard to come back in again. And, the Marine Corps' PSEP program, it used to be if you got out after 90 days, everything just dropped out of the system. And if you had less than 6 years of active duty, you basically had to start over again. You could come back in, you'd automatically start over as a lance corporal, but you were guaranteed corporal in 6 months.
Wow.
And you just kind of take your chances like that. And,
Oof.
So this prior service I told you about earlier, Staff Sergeant Ramirez, he had over 6 years of active duty already behind him when he got out. And so that's why he was able to come back as a sergeant, and then he picked up staff sergeant pretty quick. But for me, when I came back, here I am, a newly meritoriously promoted sergeant, and they're saying that I'm going to lose that and come back in as a lance corporal. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to work, And so I put it off and I wait. And anyway, 5 years goes by, and it's like, I need to get back in because civilian life's not agreeing with me. I just need back in. And, I did everything, man. I had 10 jobs the first year I was out. Bad economy, kept getting laid off, working construction, I was doing framing, I was doing roofing, I was doing window tinning, worked at Applebee's. I was installing fluorescent lighting. I was doing all manner of things. I worked at UPS doing the preload shift at a distribution center in the next.
You were really doing everything.
Literally.
I mean, that's not in one little area. It was like a wide range of things you did. Yeah,
and it wasn't that I the only job I quit was the UPS job because I got tired of this little college punk, standing up on the catwalk above me, yelling down at me, move faster, dude. I'm hucking boxes, tossing them in the truck. I'm like, if I move any faster, I'm going to start breaking things. It's like, why don't you come down and help if you want things to move faster? And he didn't like that. See ya. So that ended my very short career with UPS. But it was an interesting and instructive first year. It was a hard time financially for us. We made some poor decisions, and those resulted in poor outcomes, as you can imagine. And anyway, we started our family. My first daughter was born in 95. I came back in the Marine Corps in 98. The Marine Corps saw fit that, here I am, a fairly well-accomplished infantryman, scout sniper. They decided that I should be a parachute rigger now, and an 0451. So, but it was the only way I could get back in the Marine Corps. I had a conversation with the gunny up at Manpower and Reserve Affairs that handled prior service guys. And I was like, Gunny, seriously, there's not another MOS I could get into. Not one. Nope. Parachute rigger's it. You want in, you're going to be a parachute rigger.
No world.
Fine. There you go.
What? That's the only one. It's got to be that.
Yeah. And it was funny when I got to rigger school at Fort Lee, Virginia, in March of 98, half the class was retreads. They were all, prior service guys from various MOSs. So
they really just needed to fill the quotas, and that was an easy way to do it.
I guess. I don't know that they really needed to, because there wasn't really a cutting score for sergeants in that MOS for forever, because there were too daggone many of them, and they needed to get rid of them. So it's like, you got too many of them on the top end, but yet you're force feeding them in through the retread route. It just didn't make any sense. Anyway, it was what it was. The Marine Corps is kind of a weird animal sometimes.
That's
especially
true.
With, they say people talk about talent management, and I know SOCOM, talks about that a lot, and I think the Marine Corps has never really looked at talent management as actual talent management. I think they've always had their manpower and reserve affairs, whatever HR kind of outlook they apply to it. It's for the good of the service. Well, yeah, okay, that's great. But if you don't take care of the Marine somewhere along the way, the Marine's just going to say, see ya, and they do in droves.
Yeah.
And
Marines will put up with a lot of stuff.
They will.
But you got to give them an attaboy every now and again.
Just a little something, and just doing the job that the guy is qualified for and wants to do. I mean, that seems like an easy ask, but it's oftentimes not. So that's a whole bigger question, talk about. But
maybe
anyway,
we'll talk about some of that tonight. Who knows?
Yeah. So I came back in 98. Immediately got sent out as a brand new Lance Corporal to Camp Pendleton, California, and let's see, 90 days later, 6 months later, it's October, and I'm still a Lance Corporal, because October 1st, I should have been promoted to Corporal, but all my company officers were off at, I think it was Steel Night, the exercise at 29 Palms. And so none of the officers were around to promote me. So I was got to wait a couple of weeks for somebody to get back. I was still in the rear. And so I go to the main side PX at Pendleton wearing my Lance Corporal chevrons. And I run into this guy who, as soon as I see him, I'm like, I recognize this guy. And I said, hey, Sergeant, I think I know you. And he looks at my name tapes and he's like, Parkhurst, I know you. You were with 3-5. And I was like, that's where I know you from. He's like, yeah, I was at the India Company. And we weren't the same company or anything, but we were there at the same time. And I said, well, how you been? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm doing great. He's like, what about you? He's like, you're a Lance Corporal. What happened? He's like, you got out, didn't you? And I said, yeah, I got out, but I just came back in 6 months ago. And he's like, well, yeah, even so, how come you're not a sergeant still, or at least something? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I just came back in last week.
Are you serious?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's I was thinking he'd been in the whole time, because he was a Lance Corporal last time I saw him. Now he's a sergeant. I thought he just had been in for the last 5 years, and now he's a sergeant. Turns out he just came back in. He picked up corporal in the reserves at some MP reserve unit, and then he picked up sergeant at some air wing reserve unit, right? So 2 completely different MOSs, that had nothing to do with infantry. And he picked up corporal and sergeant there in the reserves. And in October 1st, 1998, 6 months after I came back in, they changed the PSEP rules. And they said, if you, yeah, so it was a case-by-case basis now. And if I had waited 6 months, I could have come back in and kept my rank and probably ended right back at 3-5 or some other infantry battalion.
That's so messed up on so many levels.
And yeah, and he told me what, and he's like, man, I'm really sorry. I was like, well, it's not your fault, I'm just happy to be back, And yeah.
But that hurts. That hurts a lot when you hear that, for sure.
It does. But anyway, yeah, it wasn't a bad career, man. I ended up doing a total of about 25 years and retired as a master sergeant, which is about as high as I could go in that field. And so, yeah, it was good.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because you stayed in the rigging field, right?
Yeah, I did. So I finished out my career.
Talk us through all that.
Yeah, next 16 years. So came back in 98, went to rigger school at Fort Lee, Virginia. I had already been to jump school. I went to jump school in 92 when I was with 3-5. It was one of those, like Benny things. They had so many quotas in the division, and, they made everybody typical grunts. They made them do a board, like a meritorious board or something.
Right. Yeah.
And had to stand Charlie's inspection and run a PFT and do the whole 9 yards. And so I got one of the quotas.
Nice.
And I went to jump school in February of 92 down at Benning. Mm-hmm. And never thought I would jump again. But fast forward, come back in 98 and going to rigger school, and now I'm jumping again. And so that was cool.
As a rigger, you jump regularly? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's actually the only MOS in the Marine Corps that has jump school as a prerequisite. So a lot of guys think, well, recon Marines, they jump. Well, yes, they do. But you don't have to be jump qualified to be a recon Marine. All right? You can you become a recon Marine first, and then you go to jump school. And if you graduate, great. If you don't ever get to go, that's okay. I've seen recon Marines around that just have a dive bubble. I see recon Marines occasionally that don't have either. But most of them get both. But it's not a prerequisite for the MOS. Right?
Interesting.
So, 0451 is the only MOS in the Marine Corps that jump school is a prerequisite for. You have to go to jump school first and then go to rigger school. And so I did that. And my first duty station at a rigger school was going right back to Pendleton. I was with 1st Landing Support Battalion.
Okay.
The 2 years I was there, they transitioned into the new structure with Transportation Support Battalion.
Okay.
So changed from LSB to TSB, and still red patchers. Wearing a little red patch on our cover and on our knees and all that. But I was with 1st Air Delivery Platoon. Spent 2 years there, and the guy who was my platoon sergeant there, the Paraloft chief at 1st AD, he went to become the monitor for 04s, and he came down in late 1999 and had a meeting with a bunch of us and sat us down and said, look, I need people to do this, and this, and you're the one that's going to go here, and you're the one that's going to go there. Kind of, it was nice of him to do that. And he actually kind of put it in terms of, asking, rather than telling, but I think everybody kind of wanted to do the things that he wanted us to do. But he put me on I&I duty.
Okay.
So I went straight from 1st Air Delivery to I&I duty at 4th Air Delivery in San Jose, California.
Okay.
So I checked in there April of 2000, and so lived there in the Bay Area for a few years. And that was, we had just had my second daughter right before we left. She was she was born in July of '99, and then we moved up there in April April 2000. San Jose was awesome. Great bunch of guys. Really, really cool area to be in. But 9/11 happened while we were there.
Okay.
And so, we got there early 2000. Of course, 9/11 happened in September 2001. And the Bay Area being what the Bay Area is, San Francisco, Oakland, those places are not bastions of, military support or
right.
Anything like that. It was a little crazy. The city of Berkeley, I remember, like right after it happened, I mean, they were out of their freaking mind. The city of Berkeley literally passed a resolution that if they could secede from the Union, they would, but they can't because the California Constitution won't let them. But if they could, they would, because they didn't want to go to war with Afghanistan. And at that point, we weren't even at war with Afghanistan yet.
Yeah.
They literally did it like right after. It was all this apologist stuff for blowing up the Twin Towers, and it was crazy. But yeah, a lot of good people in that area. Had a chance to do lots of cool things, and that platoon of Reserve Marines was outstanding in every respect. Had a lot of really, really good professionals that I worked with on the staff and all that. And then, so not only did the War on Terror start while I was there, but then just about the time I was expecting orders, OIF kicked off, right?
Yeah.
Iraq, the invasion of Iraq. So March of 2003, that's when I was expecting to leave, March, April timeframe. And I had orders to go to 3rd Recon Battalion, and of course everybody's orders got canked. And, and then the reserve unit actually got called up, but I was not on the list of people to go with it. So I stayed back while the reserve unit went. That sucked, to say the least. So now I'm just trying to think, how am I going to get out of here? How do I either get to the war or get somewhere where I could do something, And I got a call one day from Master Guns Joe Setlin, who's very well known in the recon community. But he was looking for somebody to fill a billet up at TCOM. And I guess I was fortunate enough to be recommended by a couple of guys in our community that thought I would be a good fit for the Airborne Mobile Training Team. There were lots of better qualified dudes out there because I was not even a free fall jumper at the time. And to be on this Airborne Mobile Training Team, it was all teaching free fall stuff. And I was just a static line guy, a straight leg, hook up, shuffle to the door kind of guy. And but this was teaching advanced parachuting skills to the recon units and MARSOC and stuff like that, and or become MARSOC later. And the the Master Guns, he said, look, you'll do fine. Don't worry about what other people say. Just come on out, and I got a place for you. And I'm like, all right. So they sent me to school en route, sent me to free fall school, and then I had to wait 6 months to go to free fall JM, jump master. So I did that and passed both. And
now were those schools difficult or?
Yeah, they're free fall school is not particularly difficult. It's challenging if you don't like heights.
I can see that.
From regular jump school, you do a lot more jumping from a lot higher up, and the jump master part that's always the hard part.
Okay.
And so the real hard one, all these are Army schools, right? So jump school.
Oh, I see.
And static line jump master school, and then free fall school, and then free fall jump master school. We're all Army schools. Now we have our own free fall school for the Marine Corps now, but that didn't exist then.
I see.
In fact, it was our Airborne Mobile Training Team that helped stand up that free fall school.
Wow.
But but they're all Army schools, and the one that's really sort of the ball breaker, where the instructors they act like they're the keeper of the wreath, so to speak, is the static line jump master. And it actually took me 3 tries to get that one. I had to go, literally had to go back 3 times.
Why would it be that one?
It just is. It just is what it is. I mean, jump mastering is it's a very highly responsible job. There's a lot of risk involved. Obviously, putting somebody out of an airplane in flight. So, the jump master is responsible for all these people and how the evolution goes. And so it's good that it's strict, but arguably that I think a lot of my fellow static line jump masters will agree with me that over the course of the history of jump master school, the instructors there at various times have made it more difficult than it needed to be, in terms of, there's one thing in particular, one evolution. It's called the JMPI, or the Jump Master Personnel Inspection. That evolution is basically, if I'm a jump master and you're a jumper, when you get suited up and get your chute on and everything, you have to present yourself to a jump master to be inspected. So I have to start at the helmet and work my way down and inspect the front of the harness and your reserve and your leg straps and everything around. And then I have you turn around and I'm inspecting your static line and the whole yards. And I have to touch every single thing that I'm inspecting. I have to look at and touch every piece. And I should be doing that pretty quick, right? And so there's a time limit. Well, the time limit was based on, I can't remember the exact number, but basically, if you had a C-141, which we don't even have those in the inventory anymore, if you had a C-141 aircraft full of combat equipped jumpers, and you had a minimal jump master staff, this is how many jumpers you would need to do in X number of minutes. This is how fast you would have to get through them to do in-flight JMPIs, right? And it's a tough mark to meet, right? To be able to do a JMPI inspection in this little timeline, and you have just a few minutes to get it done, and it has to be perfect. You can't miss anything major, nothing. And
now, how many people are you inspecting? Would you say?
Well, I mean, it depends. Every jump operation is different, but for I'm trying to remember at school. I'm trying to remember how it went. I think you had one slick jumper and one slick jumper and one combat equipped jumper that you had to do, but you just had to do that one jumper in the time limit, and it was a short time limit, right?
Gotcha.
And that time limit always got people, either they would rush so that they would miss things and they would miss a major inspection point, or they just wouldn't meet the time limit, Interesting. And so that's what got me both of the first 2 times, like it does most people. And I went back a 3rd time and passed. And so I was a very well-trained static line jump master by the time I got there. Free fall jump master. Free fall jump master. They have the same thing. Free fall side, it's a different parachute system. But the guys over there have never been as anal about the time limit. The time limit's more. It makes more sense. Let's just put it that way. It's not quite as bad. There is a time limit, and it's strict, but you can't exceed it. But it's not as ridiculous as static line. But anyway, that is what it is. So I made it through that gate, and
so at this point, what was your rank? So
when I left I&I duty in San Jose, I had just pinned on staff sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I got there as a new sergeant. I just pinned on sergeant right before I went to I&I duty, and then I pinned on staff sergeant right before I left.
Okay.
And then I went to Quantico to be part of this airborne mobile training team that was being stood up, and some really, really phenomenal, literally legends in the recon community that were on the instructor staff. My boss, Mike Thurman, and also Mike Simmons were both military freefall instructors out in Yuma at the Army's school before they took this duty on. And anyway, it was a great experience, and we would literally, as an MTT, just like it sounds, we would go on the road, and we'd go to Okinawa to go to 3rd Recon, we'd go to Camp Lejeune to 2nd Recon, or Pendleton for 1st Recon, or whatever, and we initially what we were doing was we were teaching these transition courses, because the Marine Corps had a parachute system called an MC5 that was just slightly different than the MC4 that the Army used. It was the same basic parachute, the same basic pack and everything that it came in. It's just that ours had this option to be used as a, you could jump it free fall, just like the Army did, or you could jump it in what they call the double bag static line configuration, which is not free fall. It's a free fall parachute, but you hook up with a static line to the anchor line cable in the aircraft, just like a round parachute, right? So you have this anchor line cable on the back, or the static line on the back that deploys your chute for you. So you just exit the plane and it does all the work, right?
Yeah.
So the rigger can pack that parachute in either of those configurations.
Oh, I see.
And so the jumper doesn't have to be a free fall jumper. He can be a double bag static line jumper. And so we were teaching those transition courses. And then eventually the Marine Corps, we came up with our completely new equipment, the multi-mission parachute system and the FAOS oxygen system and different things, where we were diverging from the Army almost entirely as far as equipment. And when we did that, the Army just up and decided at some point that, we're not going to continue to train your guys on systems that aren't ours. If you want to train this other system, you're going to either have to come up with a transition course, which is almost like a whole nother course, or you just do it yourself. And so, we did the transition thing for a little bit in an interim period, but then we eventually stood up the Marine Corps Freefall School out in Coolidge, Arizona. So yeah, there's an old airfield out there in Coolidge. It's a little bit south of Phoenix. Yeah.
South of Phoenix?
South Phoenix, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big skydive center out there. There's Eloy. You ever heard of Eloy, Arizona? That's a big civilian skydive center. And they have a wind tunnel and everything there. So we used to go out there and train a lot, train in the wind tunnel. But Coolidge is where we set up the schoolhouse, and we started off contracting with a company that was all prior, SF guys and prior Marine Recon guys and stuff like that. All very well qualified to be instructors, along with the Airborne Mobile Training Team guys that were on active duty. And I'm not sure what the status of that school is now. I know it's still there. I just don't know if they have like permanent active duty staff for the school, or if they're still doing the contract instructor thing, which is
that's a good question.
Yeah. So haven't really paid attention for the last few years. So
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of a cool time. Doing some really, really cool jumping. We jumped a high glide parachute that, instead of a 3-to-1 glide ratio, it has a 5-to-1 glide ratio. And,
what does that mean for the layman here? Yeah.
So for the layman, a parachute is like a wing. A free fall parachute is like a wing, a ram air parachute. It has, if this is the leading edge of the parachute here, it's kind of in a parabolic shape, like an arch.
Right.
And the suspension lines come down like this, and I'm hanging down here somewhere. The air gets rammed into these open cells to inflate the canopy. So the canopy is actually inflated, and it forms a rigid wing, right?
Right.
And so that allows it to have a glide ratio. A round parachute, on the other hand, it is not a wing at all. It's just a round canopy that slows your descent a certain amount, but it doesn't fly. You can't really steer it, There's ones that have vents on the back that you supposedly can steer, it's not really steering. It's just changing the direction that you're facing, more or less.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But a ram air canopy, you can literally fly it, and you can change direction and go that way, or you can go that way. So a ram air canopy typically can have about a 20 knot forward drive. So if there's no wind and you're just coming down with this parachute, you'll be moving forward at 20 knots.
Oh, wow. Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Of course, if you're going into a headwind, that cuts your ground speed down. Right.
Right.
So if the winds are 10 knots, then you're only moving forward 10 knots. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a typical military ram air canopy has about a 3-to-1 glide ratio. So for every foot it goes down, it moves forward 3 feet.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
For the high glide parachute, for every foot that it goes down, it goes forward 5 feet. So it glides a lot further.
Right.
For its rate of descent is slower. It's covering more ground laterally for every increment of descent, right? Whether it's feet or inches or whatever. And so it's a higher glide ratio. That's what that means.
Okay.
And the Marine Corps has those in the system. We were teaching the transition course for those things. All kinds of cool stuff.
Wow.
But did that for about 3 years.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, did that from. I guess I got there in mid '03, and then left in the middle of '06. Finally got my orders to 3rd Recon Battalion in Okinawa.
Okay. And at that point, you were staff sergeant when you got there.
And then I picked up Gunny just before I left. Yep.
Okay.
So
makes sense. Yeah.
I managed to be on about a 3-year schedule there for my promotions. Worked out nicely, but so I left Quantico in I guess it was July of '06, and I checked into 3rd Recon Battalion just as they were getting ready to step out the door for a Iraq deployment. And so, of course, I didn't go on that deployment because you have to do the workup. So I ended up on the remain behind element.
Okay.
And so I was basically there in a paraloft by myself. So anybody knows anything about like parachute maintenance or aircraft maintenance or anything like that, you never have one guy just working in the shop by himself, right?
Right.
You have a guy who's doing a job, whether it's inspecting something, repairing something, or whatever. But you also have someone there who's not that guy, who is inspecting his work, right?
So you have to have at least the two.
Yeah, at least the two, and that guy has to sign that he's inspected the work, right? You're signing a logbook. Both the packer of the parachute and the inspector have to sign off on this. So whether that comes to placing a new parachute in service, whether it's packing it or performing a maintenance function on it, whatever, you have to have 2 people. So from July through, I guess it was October or November when I finally got my first Marine. I got some young Marine right out of rigger school that came to the Paraloft, Lance Corporal. And I was like, yay, I could finally do stuff, because all my riggers were forward deployed, So, I kind of sat on my thumbs, inventoried everything, all that kind of stuff, and did paperwork, whatever. But I couldn't really do a whole lot until I had some more riggers in the shop. To be able to sustain stuff. That was pretty cool. I was a Paraloft chief there at 3rd Recon. I ended up deploying with them in 2008 on the 2008 Iraq deployment. Went out to the Al Anbar province, started off at Camp Fallujah, but they were sort of closing down that facility at that time, and we moved out to Al Asad and operated out of there. And
hey Tim, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark here. Do you mind scheduling another one? And
no, I don't mind. Yeah, that's fine.
Again? Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, whatever you want to do, man. I hope I'm not dragging this out and belaboring this.
No, this is fantastic. No, this is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No. I'm sure I could come up with a million other questions, but you're doing a great job. Yeah,
I don't talk about my whole career to very many people, so this is a new experience for me. I'm typically going around talking about the foundation and the Scout Sniper War Memorial and all that, which I'm happy to discuss. And the depth of getting into what I did as a Scout Sniper is to say that I was one with 3.5 for about a minute, didn't do anything special, and I'm here trying to honor the ones that we lost.
Right.
And so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can pick back up when you get to third recon when we get back, and then we can kind of go from there. If that's all right with you.
Yeah, cool.
All right,
so I guess I'll see you back at 8 o'clock.
Don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to you after, so don't hang up on me. But I'm going to do the outro here. For everybody out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. Tim cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, Tim, one last time, thank you. Don't hang up on me. To everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
No more 22. Honor the journey and finish the fight.